So now what do I do? Well, I guess there's only one thing. There's something I'd like to know. Are you real? Can you feel?
Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube, and I use spirits and my intuition, the tarot, to communicate energies to you guys, fabulous viewers. If you guys are new to this channel, welcome. I'm so glad you guys finally found me. I hope you guys stay and that these messages resonate with you guys. If you are interested in other topics, you can take a look at the playlist, and all my readings are timeless. So hopefully you find something there that is resonating for your specific journey and experience. For those of you guys returning, I'm so blessed to be here. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for your comments, shares, likes, subscribes. And I do hope that this reading resonates with you guys as well. You guys are all very safe and welcome in this space with me today. Today's reading, we're taking a look at your current situation, circumstance, and some guidance to navigate through something that might be challenging, or maybe something you're not seeing in your current situation that might be stuck, or could be conflicting, or just reassurance, confirmation that what you are understanding is pointing you in the right direction. Okay, so this is to provide clarity, never to provide further confusion. Okay, if you're getting more confused, then I would suggest that you most likely didn't tap into the right reading. Okay, so gorgeous angels, these are the decks I'll be using. I'll put a link right here to my playlist for the deck flip throughs for those of you guys interested in these decks. And this will be a pick a card reading. So we'll pull 3 cards together for the 3 options, and then we will get into your specific reading. If you're developing your intuition, I do suggest you sit through the card layouts and ask spirit for what you're going to see, feel, or hear to determine whether that pile is the right pile for you, and tap into your intuition. Only you could do this. No tarot reader will tell you what to do or what pile is for you. Okay. And know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's your messaging and your energy. Okay, only you can do that. So, beautiful angel, I will put links below. If it's your first time to tarot, remember, tarot is not predicting anything. It's just reading back a state of consciousness back to you. And it is meant to provide you with clarity, and it should be familiar to you, not something that's completely radical. Okay, if it is, like I said, not your pile. So I'll see you guys at your picks. Hello, gorgeous angels. Let's pull the 3 cards for your picks for today's reading. We're asking spirit for direct guidance in your current situation, circumstance, whatever's going on around you, what you're needing assistance with or needing to understand maybe more clearly, or confirmation of whatever it is that you are understanding about your situation. So we have 3 options to choose from for today's reading. Beautiful people, if at any point you are pulled to any one of these 3, I do feel they're all upside down, but I don't know for sure. It just kind of feels that way. I'm not reading reversals. I'm just tapping into energy, okay, with this. So if you're called to any one of these 3 right now, there is timestamp down below. I'll take you directly to your pick, okay? But we will reveal these shortly. And so you're using your intuition to pull you towards whichever one feels like the right pile for you. Okay, it's nothing to do with wording. So if you're stuck, you can close your eyes, open your eyes, and whichever one sort of pulls you towards it will most likely be the messaging for you. Okay, but since I'm reading energy, I have no idea who it belongs to or what it belongs to. So it's up to you to sort of attribute whose energy that is in your energy field. Okay, if it's not yours, could be someone around you, someone you're dealing with, the circumstance, situation. I might get it flipped or crisscrossed. Okay, but the energy should be overall what it is you're experiencing. And yeah, that's the only thing you should really switch around. Okay, but don't force things to fit. And if it's specific messaging for certain people, you can leave those behind. But the messaging in that pile should be resonating for you. Okay, I'm not predicting anything. I'm not assigning or ascribing anything to you. You have free will and conscious choice to do whatever it is you please. Okay, beautiful angels. So from these 3 options, let's take a look. Option number 1, we have 26 with rejoicing. You have learned how to make the most out of life. Wow. Beautiful. Option number 2, we have mentor 75. You are about to meet a person of high integrity who will guide you in the right direction. My goodness. And option number 3, we have 12 with surrender. Release and surrender all control and let nature take its course. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful angel, sit with this energy. Take as long as you need. I'll leave the video running for a bit so you don't get the annoying bars at the bottom. And like I said, if you are stuck, close your eyes. And when you open them, most likely the first pull will be your pile. Okay, so I will put a timestamp below and I will see you guys at your pick. Beautiful angel, pile number 1. It's so funny because this reading was like intended to, and still is, I haven't looked at anything except for this card, but it was intended to help you throughout your situation, okay, or provide guidance or whatever you're needing to hear in order to move through something. But what I got from this energy was like, you're already on the other side of something, you know, like you've overcome something. So it's like, this is almost like what's coming in is kind of what it feels like, you know. So you guys are probably just here because you've either been following me forever and interested in your messaging, because I don't feel like you're stuck on anything, you know. Maybe you are, but I don't feel it so much. Okay. This feels like a really beautiful energy, obviously with rejoicing, you know. It's like, wow, like I could celebrate where I'm at, everything I've done, everything that's transpired has made me who I am, is kind of what I feel out of this energy, which feels so, so beautiful. Okay, so we have number 26 or the number 8. So that is Leo and Aquarius energy pulling through. So I have pre-shuffled oracle cards, and I did ask Spirit for guidance for your current situation, circumstance, what it is you're needing to hear in regards to how to maneuver or manage whatever you are navigating for the greatest and highest good of whatever it is you're working through. Okay, so I got these cards, and then I have the tarot here, which is guidance from the angels, called guardian angel messages for the tarot, to dive in a little deeper. Okay, so let's take a look at these cards. Now, if you want to go skip straight away to the channeling, you can do so, but this is intended to develop your intuition so that you know whether this is indeed your pile or not. So we have light in the darkness. Oh my goodness, St. John's wort. So the first thing I got, it's looking like an air balloon, although it's not. It's a cage with the sun in it, but it looked like an air balloon, and air balloons can talk about having a higher perception on things, where we're in a position where we've learned to understand things from a greater point of view, or have a greater vantage point of understanding. Okay, sun definitely talks about consciousness, because there's something, obviously, with the cage, meaning something was trapped, or like maybe your joy was like hard to reach, you know, or like clarity, it was, I don't know, trapped somehow with this energy here. Okay, but light in the darkness, there has been some clarity, and you've been navigating the darkness, I feel, here for some time. Okay, and now if you are going through this could certainly be the messaging from Spirit saying you are going to be on the other side of whatever this is. There will be clarity coming to you, you know, and you might feel like, where is the clarity? Why isn't it coming? Why does it feel so trapped? Or I don't know which way to go. Okay, but we'll see, because these are like, this is supporting this. Okay, so let's see. We have feeling unloved. Yeah, like, where's my joy? Number 2 and 11. 11's a spiritual number. Okay, master number, divine inspiration, synchronicity, and the encouragement to keep going. The light and the darkness, encouragement to keep going. 2 is all about balance, duality, and choices. Okay, partnership and polarity and contrast. So we might be experiencing the dark in order to know what the light feels like. Okay, but feeling unloved doesn't feel great. So it's this feeling unessential, feeling rejected, separation, indifference, feeling isolated, feeling abandoned. Type 2, the helper, emotional center between giving and receiving. So we have some root chakra. Okay, and so when we have root chakra stuff, this is very integrated into our own security and safety. You can have abandonment wounds, which is not connecting to a sense of self that allows us to feel whole, feel love, feel complete without any sort of external seeking, external validation. So we have aggressiveness. Oh my goodness, 44 is a master number. Okay, could be an age. You could be seeing this. Integration as a foundation, treating the earth as home and a temple, manifestation and leadership. So it says fixation, ego level, aggressiveness, combativity, revenge, anger, hostility, reprisals, and wickedness. Number 8. So 8 again, we're getting twice. Okay, and 8, like I said, is Leo and star. Leo and Aquarius energy. That's strength and star. Okay, interesting here. So 88 is also a master number, a higher calling that is grounded in self-awareness and reverence for life. So the sun would talk about awareness. And like I said, if we're not connected to what's going on in the root chakra here, we may not be connecting to the essence of self, and then feeling like we're unloved or separated. Okay, but there's definitely some sort of challenge here, which we should probably cover the little wieners. Alrighty. We have wise woman of the grove with grace. Wow. So right by this combativeness, we have grace. Wow. And this certainly rising above, where we have to show grace and compassion and non-judgment. And we could be definitely in a world of challenge with others and situations where it's difficult to rise above. If we're pulled into the dramas. Wise woman of the grove. Wow. 49. Or 13, which is transformation, Scorpio energy. So working through some shadows. And then here we see a treasure chest that's opening up with, I don't know, looks like a gem. Okay, Forrest could talk about navigating the unknown. And then we have these camels. Okay, so camels can talk about endurance or even being without some form of emotion. So we could feel unloved because it's like we're missing water, I mean, the camel stores water in their humps, but it's like in a desert, it's like our environment is dry, it's unemotional, or it's lacking some form of emotion, and it feels like it's an endurance test. We're going on and on, or maybe it's like, where are we going here? I feel your environment, it might not be the greatest. Okay, but you have learned how to make the most out of life. So despite this environment, a lot of unknowns, a lot of threats, a lot of combativeness, a lot of like that sort of stuff going on for some time now. It's like, what do I do? What do I do, spirit? Okay, and then we have, I don't know what the frick frack this is. What is this? It looks like moonlight coming into a field, but it could even be like alien beams coming into a field. I don't know, because there's the moon. And then we have these like lights and this, I don't know, looks like a guard and some people here. And I just heard pulling down the moon. The guy looks kind of like a scarecrow. There's so much going on in this thing, It's like, hey, pulling down the moon could be like connecting to one's own subconscious or emotions in some way here. The scarecrow could definitely talk about like what's not real, or like something there that's like distracting or posing as an illusion of something we might fear, but it's really nothing to fear. And I don't know, something's glowing here, which kind of almost looks like a cross, but I don't think it is. I don't know, it's glowing. There's just a lot to unpack here with this card. Interesting. I'll put that over there. Okay. Then we have cardamom, and it says integrity. So the trigger statement is, trigger statement, it is their fault. But the true statement is, my thoughts are the cause of my suffering. As emotions rise, go within to see what stories and memories are fueling them. Then release what is not serving you with gratitude. Beautiful, because this is what we always talk about, right? Nobody can cause suffering upon you. Your own thoughts, your own stories, and your own attachments to what you're feeling is true and not true. So we'd have to deal with our subconscious thoughts. Okie dokie. And then we have active love, self-preservation. Wow. So self-preservation. We're learning about self-love, and the limit of what that looks like. We're creating some form of suffering, or like exploring this thing in order for us to come up with realizations about ourself. Wow. Okay. And then we have a fated meeting. Oh my goodness. Now it was in reverse here because these cards could be meant to read in the upright or the reversal. So I'll take that into consideration when I read. But 7 is chariot energy, okay, which is the integration of the shadow or the subconscious here into light. Remember I said we're turning things into light or having a higher state of awareness through grace and compassion. Now we could certainly be dealing with another here, which I feel could be challenging. We see the light and the dark, so it could be someone's shadow, someone else's projection, someone else is creating this combativeness in order for us to reflect something pure about ourselves, something true about self. We see the clock, which could talk about divine timing, and of course the fated meeting is this whole fated exploration, this whole journey is fated for there to be further understandings or ascension, meaning it's bringing out a greater awareness of your consciousness through this lesson. Okay, but I feel like we're trying to maybe understand where that line looks like, me and other, and that there is no line of me and other. And understand where the suffering or the ideas are sort of housed, or the pain is housed, my thoughts of what's going on here. What's true? What am I carrying unnecessarily? And what's sort of the pain body that's projecting? Okay, and then we have map. Yeah, which course takes me home? Compass plant. Okay. And we have the tarot here as well. Should we pull the tarot now? No, not now. I like when I do it when it sort of confirms, so I get clarity on that. Okay, so let me just skedaddle this over, and then you guys can go click on the timestamp to the channeled message, because I need to sit with this energy so that I can pull everything that's coming through here. All right. Okay, beautiful angels, pile number 1. This feels like a situation that it feels like no matter what you do, okay, you're still experiencing what you're going to experience. Okay, so unpack the burden of the thought that maybe there is something that you're not doing right or needing to do. Okay, because this is something that there is nothing really you're supposed to be doing outside of some sort of awareness. Okay, and when we have awareness, it isn't really a doing so much as a seeing or a greater understanding. And to do that, we have to disengage from the normal thoughts that come upon us. The first sort of mind story that comes in, okay, as we know, we have always that mind that's chattering and telling us certain things, and we don't even question it, and we just sort of believe it. We have to identify that voice. That voice is the thing that's creating the suffering in this challenge. Okay, but your circumstances, they're not going to shift. It's just how you engage and feel in the circumstance that's going to change and shift once you learn or understand something that you're being shown. You are definitely in a situation that is divinely orchestrated in a way for you to come to a greater understanding. Why is this happening? Because there's a greater level of self that's being shown to you through way of however long it takes process, okay, for you to connect to it. And when we are engaged in a way and we know that there is nothing we're really able to do, or force doesn't work, or will, or whatever it is that we're accustomed to trying, and we can say, I did it all. I did it all, I did this, I did that, I did, and then the one thing that's consistent is I did. Me, the little me, thought I was a doer, taking action, non-action, doing all those, whatever it was that I was still thinking I was controlling, So this is all about a higher state of consciousness, which means there is no I, there is no doing, which sounds really like confusing to those of us who have not really been on this journey for a long time to understand, okay, that once we start to see that there is no outside circumstance that could bring upon you anything that you cannot sit with and make peace with. Okay, so it's making me feel unloved. It's making me feel anger. It's making me feel rejected. It's making me feel like someone's making me this way or treating me this way or whatever, And it's like, it's not saying that person or that situation isn't up against you, but it's up against you to reflect back to you a state of self that is actually more true than the state of self that you're in. Okay, so you could play that slowly and backwards if you got lost, because I know that's a mouthful and it's very difficult to explain spiritual concepts. Okay, but I feel like your situation is involving, I do believe it's another. Okay, now it could be a circumstance and it could be another aspect of yourself for sure. Okay, but I'm going to read it as though you're dealing with someone. And this someone is posing a challenge. Okay, a challenge. But I feel like you're emotionally very invested. Okay, you're very invested because I think that there is an understanding in your mind, okay, about all sorts of understandings that you might have about said person or said situation. Okay, and you're allowed and entitled to have those understandings. Okay, but when we identify with the understanding as a truth or as a certainty, okay, because I experienced that, therefore that is the truth. It's like saying that the truth is something actually that it's not. Okay, and I'll explain it. It's like two different people experience the exact same experience, and they'll both come away with two different sort of stories. One didn't like it and one liked it. Now, which is true? The one who didn't like it or the one who liked it? They're both true. Okay, but it's relative, meaning it's this person's sort of perception and understanding how they couldn't relate and didn't like it. I think I said this person didn't like it. And then this person who liked it was based on their understanding and experience. Okay, but it's not really the objective truth that what happened. It was neither good nor bad. And there was nothing to ascribe to that experience. And so we're ascribing a like, a dislike. This feels rejection. This feels bad. This feels alone. This feels this way. This feels that way. And it's like, we can have the feeling, but the feeling is coming because there is an experience of the past that has painted our eyes towards this situation. And now I see through those filtered eyes, this situation as good, bad, this, that, it's loving, it's hating, it's this, it's that. Okay. And so this situation is asking you to have no judgment and to come with no rights and wrongs, which is very difficult to do because the emotions flare up and they flare up. And that's the thing we need to deal with here. Okay. We need to deal with the emotion here. And so I think we're at the point here where it almost feels like we're being pushed to break through the ceiling and break through the barrier so that we can reach a state of conscious enlightenment, which is full of I am this person in the situation, are one through grace, through compassion, and through going beyond our own little I, my own story, my own mind, my own beliefs of what I think is right and how this person should be and what they should do and how I should feel. All of those things are the things that are creating the suffering. There is no shoulds. There is just what's happening in reality. And there is accepting the reality in a way that we could find peace within ourselves, regardless of what's going on externally. You're coming to the point of this breaking through this ceiling. I don't think you're quite there just yet. And I don't know where you're at in your journey. because I still feel like there is still an impact about the person or the situation that is still, you're tying it to a certain part of yourself that you're ascribing or attributing to self. But this circumstance is not really about the self, the little self here. This circumstance is about a greater state of awareness and consciousness behind the activity, behind the challenge. Okay. And so it's on a grander scale. And we could say, well, I'm on the 3D experiencing the shit situation. And for sure, because I do feel like you're dealing with someone who might be combative, aggressive, maybe even unruly, or making you feel all sorts of ways. But nobody can make you feel anything, because nobody can act through you and say, I'm going to pull this and I'm going to make you do that. And I'm going, no. That is something that we experience, and then we go within to pull within ourselves what it triggers within us. That's called shadow. Okay. And when I was laying the cards, I was getting pulling down the moon, because I feel like what is being called to you is the triggers that are happening and the uncomfortable situations that we're in is saying, hey, take a look at what's going on within you, because there's still some hidden parts of self here that have misconceptions about who you are. Okay. And who you actually are is consciousness. Okay. You are essence. You are part of the divine creator that is beyond body, beyond mind, beyond story, beyond pain. Okay. And when you see and connect to this, there is a freedom. There is a liberation outside of feeling the heaviness that we're feeling in this situation and in any other situation, because once you see the light, there's no unseeing. Once you transmute and see through the shadowy parts, it is in the light. Now, beautiful angel, I feel like this for this pile, okay? I don't feel this is like above your head. If this is above your head, then you'll come back to this reading at a later date and this will make sense to you. But if it's not making sense to you, I feel like this might still be your lesson at a later date, okay? And so it might not make sense right now, and feel free to come back. But if you are following what I'm saying here, but it's still, why can I not connect to peace? Why do I still feel rejected or unloved, or still feel challenged by the situation? On and on and on and on. On and on and on and on. And now I'm at the point of I need to just protect myself in some way. Like, what do I do? What do I do? And so there's still this me that's separate from the experience or the other person that's going on here. Okay, so this is the 2. This is still separation consciousness. So you're breaking through separation consciousness to see unity and the essence. Okay, and we don't really get it just yet, but we know that there's something, and it's like, what am I doing then? What do I need to see, or what do I need to understand? Okay, so Spirit's talking about in this card here, which is getting a lot of energy from the pulling down of the moon, means it's happening, which means the ego has already been exposed or seen in this case. Okay, and this is why I wanted to weed out the people who are still not understanding this, because maybe they haven't seen their ego just yet, or the subconscious. Although once the ego is seen, which I do feel we see it, we see our suffering, we see our ego, we see our pain, we see the thing. Okay, we see it, but it still has a hold and it's still acting. And what this is that we are in habit, and we are in the inertia of the behavior and the habit. Okay, but we are aware because the sun is present. And so what are we being imprisoned by? We're being imprisoned by the habit and the behavior and the old way of being that needs to flesh itself out organically. There is no control over this. And so we cannot feel bad. Okay, I mean, obviously, if you're, causing harm on another, like consciously, okay, then that's not good. I don't think you're doing that for sure. Okay, and I don't feel anyone else is doing that to you, if I got to be honest here with the energy. Okay, but what is creating the pain and the suffering here is definitely from within, and I think we know this. Okay, maybe we still aren't seeing it that way, but we know, like we hear it, and we're saying, yes, that makes sense. No one can pull it from within me. I am the captain of my own emotions here, and obviously if I'm triggered, there's something here. Okay, and so we're working through this, but we still can't help the feeling of feeling this abandonment, or feeling like this feeling of unloved or rejection. Okay, and feeling this challenge. And through this process of bringing down the moon, meaning I'm working through, now that I see this ego, now that I see this thing, okay, I see it. That's the first sort of step, but I'm still imprisoned, and that's okay. Okay, that's okay, because this imprisonment will be, the chains will fall, or the gate will open to this cage. Okay, as long as we keep leaning into that consciousness and we keep leaning into, I'm seeing more and more and more. This is like rising. Okay, the ascension is rising, meaning I'm taking the higher ground by showing grace, compassion, and love in moments, and not falling back in my egoic ways and saying, this is the self, okay, that I'm used to, or the hurt self that keeps chattering to me, and I'm going to buy its story again and start going down that path again. It's like, no, I know the self is the ego voice that's trying to gain my attention, that there isn't a truth behind that. Okay, that my thoughts are the cause of my suffering. And I no longer want to buy that thought, but I'm still in a state of suffering here because I still feel the feelings that I feel. Let's not deny we feel these feelings. Okay, these feelings are real. I feel rejected. I feel unloved. I feel not listened to. I feel pushed away. I feel like somebody is creating some sort of hostility around me. And then I can't help but feel what I feel. True. Okay, what is not true, though, is that thought that is triggering that feeling within you, that is telling you an integrated belief that what they are doing has anything to do with your being able to feel loved or connected to. And the only way to undo that thought is through a process of organic seeing and exposing the light and being exposed to this thing with grace, with humility, and rising above so we could see, okay? And this feels challenging, but I don't think anyone, and I'm talking about God, okay? I say God because it's my channel, but if people get triggered, I don't think source, divine source, would put you through any experience that you weren't able to handle here. Okay, why? Which course takes me home? Home. Home is the essence of self. It is peace, it is stability, secureness, feeling love, and just true truth. There is no illusion, there is no suffering, there is just you being guided to this peaceful space. Okay, I don't think you're there yet. In spirit, this is like a confirmation that you're getting there, and this is what's happening, because the map is here, meaning you're guided. It is fated. This experience, there's nothing you're supposed to be sort of doing so much as it is being aware that the process will happen. Whether you sort of like it or not is irrelevant. Whether you think it's good or bad is irrelevant. The thoughts are going to come, but it's how you dance with those thoughts and how much weight you put in those thoughts and how engaged you are with following the same types of habits or process that you would with those thoughts. Okay, so now we're aware. It's like the thought is there. What would I normally do? How do I normally believe those thoughts? What would I normally chase that thought with? How is that thought really impacting me? And then when I feel this way, what am I doing with those feelings? Am I distracting? Am I believing it? Or am I actually feeling those feelings and saying, hey, I must have some sort of thought that is very strong right now, that's integrated into a belief that might actually not necessarily be true, but I feel it is true and it's creating suffering in my world. Show me, spirit. Let me rise above this. Let me engage in a way so I can understand this from within myself. Then you'll be on the other side. Okay, now does this mean that this person, this situation is going to be all peacefully changed on the outside? Not right away. This means I've learned to manage my inner world and find peace within myself and my dialogue of how it goes, and break the habit and the behavior that was creating my suffering and my engagement with my own thoughts. And that is 97% of my challenge here. And then we can engage with this person, this situation completely differently. Okay, because nobody can hold us hostage. Okay, unless of course we are in a hostage situation. But it's like there is no more feeling tied or bound or stuck to challenging situations, because it's like I see beyond this. I have a greater sense of awareness, and I am not pulled by these feelings or these emotions that were so strong generated within me, thinking that it was this situation or the circumstance, So, but I feel it's unpleasant in the meantime, because it's like, but I still feel in love. I still feel all of these things that are challenging, you know, and we're still seeing with their eyes resistance and combativeness and arguments and all of this stuff. But it's like, we don't need to be engaged in the argument. We just need to be observing our thought right now. So the more we sort of outwardly act on this thought, the more challenge and the more confrontation. But it's like, let me just disengage from a place of grace and love, so I could gain a better understanding of what's going on in my world, you know. And once you see what's going on in your world, you'll have eyes to see what's going on the outside, meaning I see other people's shadows, I see illusions, I see through or above situations that might be, you know, like below me, but not in a way of like I'm better, but below, meaning it's in the shadow, or it's not truth, it's full of illusion, it's full of things that aren't really in truth. So there is no more infusing that with anything other than grace and compassion and acceptance. Okay, so that was a mouthful for sure. Very hard to explain all that in a way that it makes sense. But I feel like you are being given this light, and you do have this light. But when the light is being shined like a flashlight in front of you, okay, it casts something different. And when the light is being shined towards you, it creates something different as well. So where is this light shining? Is it shining on the outside, trying to cast light on people and situations and shadows out there? Because we'll be forever walking with that flashlight, you know. But when we're flashing it towards ourselves, we see something that we can't unsee there. And it provides us with the compass, you know, the compass to this map, which is really home. You are home. Okay, you are home. So let's see what the angels are wanting to communicate here. The angel guardian messages for you, beautiful angel. Clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good of beautiful pile number 1. Spirit, what is it that pile 1 is needing to hear in regards to guidance and advice to navigate their current situation or circumstance? Oh, my throat's getting very tickly. All right, so let's keep going. Clear and concise message for beautiful pile number 1. Guidance and advice in a current situation. Can we dive in a little deeper? Anything that was missed? Anything needing to get channeled? I do feel there's one more. There it is. Alrighty. We have the Ace of Fire, Ace of Wands. So it says opportunity, creativity, and action. All right. And we have the Queen of Fire. Wow, lots of fire. Intelligent, exuberant, and determined. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius energy. Okay, and then that's clarified by the Moon in reverse. Intuition, illusion, and revelation. Remember, I said bringing down the Moon. Okay, so the fire is representing some form of light, flame, and transmutation. Okay, of what? Shadow, illusion, seeing through the fear, seeing through the emotional parts of us that might be deep within our subconscious is coming to the surface in order to be transmuted. But this is a confident sense of self, okay, because wands are really our it's our life force energy, okay? It's our fire, it's our will. It's our confidence here, okay? And so we have the Two of Cups, partnership, commitment, and reconciliation. And I was going to say confinement, which is weird. So what's 2 cups? 2 cups is a relationship, okay? It's generally with another person, but it doesn't have to be, like I said, it could be 2 aspects of self or how we're finding harmony in relationship out there. Okay, so for a lot of you guys, like I said, it's conflict with another here. It's not coming together. It's not harmonious. Values could be misaligned. And emotions could certainly not be flowing in a way of trusting, giving and receiving in a flow state. There's some sort of block here. And we could say it's this person, it's this circumstance, it's this, it's that with their flashlight looking out there. Meanwhile, and I'm not victim blaming or saying it's your fault. There's no fault here. There's no wrong and right. Like I said, there's just experience. And so when we're experiencing challenge, okay, there's nothing we could do to change another or a situation that's being guided like this other than to see some greater truth within the subconscious that's going to cast the light on the fear and the illusion. And so we can have revelations about our truest self. Okay, and when you have a revelation about true self, that is really connecting to the essence within, the light within, that nobody can control, that's always there. It's there behind the fear. It's there behind all the experience. It's there behind the mind chatter. It's there behind the ego. It's there behind a whole bunch of things. It's always there. Okay, and I think this spark is something is going to be understood. Okay, I know it's wands, so it's not really the swords, but understood in a way that it comes as a revelation of sorts that's not yet come yet. Okay, it's not yet come yet. And so we experience the challenge or the suffering, but I feel like that revelation is you getting to the other side here, because I think there will be a rejoicing once this connecting to this inner spark or this revelation of, wow, like, yes, I get it now. You know, my thoughts are the cause of my suffering. And it becomes bigger or higher or more grand than the focus of, why is this thing not flowing? Why is this not harmonious? Why is this person being a jerk or this or that? Or why does it feel like I'm without, you know? You're not without. You're not without. That's what the mind is saying. That's what this shadowy thing is saying. Okay, we feel it. So I don't want to like gaslight you and say, no, you're not without. You feel perfectly fine. It's like, no, I feel without. I feel unloved. I feel not seen. I feel not appreciated. I feel all of these things that don't feel good. Okay, but when we say I feel that thing, it's generating from you, your source of life, okay? There is nobody acting through you other than just source energy consciousness that's being filtered through your mind body, okay? But if we have a lot of pain body, like Eckhart Tolle says, the pain body, that is the stuff that we're reenacting and that we're hearing and seeing. And so we become one with that illusion, okay? So let's see, what's under 2 cups? We have the King of Fire. No, oh my goodness, King of Fire, King of Earth. Prosperous, generous, and successful. This is the King of Pentacles. Okay, I almost said the King of Fire, which would have been divine counterparts here because we have the Queen. But the King of Fire is the King of Pentacles, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. And he's in reverse. And so we could certainly be dealing with an unruly sort of person here. That isn't anyone we could rely upon. Somebody who seems maybe inconsistent or untrustworthy or uncommittal or unavailable, or just something about this doesn't feel secure, doesn't feel like home here in a way that we can secure to in the 3D, okay? And that could feel very discombobulating, especially if we've connected on a 5D to this essence of we are all one. Okay, so when we connect to that, we know that there's a greater truth of connection, but the 3D is deceiving because there's an experience here of disharmony, imbalance. Okay, that's not sort of matching up with the 5D. That could be very dysregulating and that could create a lot of fear, but this also stirs up the intuition so that the intuition can navigate through. And like I said, there was a forest card here. Where is that forest card? Yeah, and navigating the forest is like so many surprises and unseen things in this forest. Some of it could be the unexpected, you know, how do I navigate? And it's like you're being shown this map, how to navigate through this forest so you can get to the other side to rejoice. Okay, you are your own sort of light here in this experience. So the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. Talent, recognition, collaboration in reverse. Again, someone isn't cooperating. I cannot build in the 3D. It is not coming together. It is not harmonious. And there's no working through or trusting or having harmony here, you know, because to work together with another to create something, both sides, both parties have to be showing up. If one part is not, then there's a disharmony. There's not a balance. There's not a balanced union, a balanced give and take. There's not a flow state here. And so there's a lot of conflict around this, you know, and that's what we were seeing here with this card, this aggressiveness, combativity, revenge, anger, hostility, reprisals, and wickedness. Okay, let's keep going. And then we have the 3 of Fire, which is the 3 wands, goals, expansion, and vision. So it's stunted here, stunted. So either a relationship fell apart, or we cannot seem to work together, or it's not moving to the next level. It doesn't seem to progress. It's stunted, stunted, stunted. And Spirit is saying this experience has nothing to do with this person. Okay, like the person is involved for sure, whoever you're experiencing, because I do feel 2 people here with my court cards, okay? And it's King and Queen. So I feel these are representing people. I don't know. Again, aspects of self, I don't know, masculine, feminine energy. But what this is talking about is this is stunted like this by design for a reason. This is all about what do we do when we're stunted like this, but have to push beyond limiting thoughts and ideas of self and work through ego beliefs, through the mind and the ego in order for us to gain a higher state of consciousness. This is spiritual expansion. This is how you move beyond this thing. Okay, now this doesn't necessarily mean just move beyond this person and move on to another person, and now I still have no state of consciousness and awareness that is higher than that in which I'm at, because I feel like this journey, if you're resonating with this reading, is not about the experience with this person per se, although this is unfolding and this could be very something we focus on for sure, because it's creating the suffering or it's creating the mirror. Okay, but this journey specifically for the individual I'm reading here is all about breaking through the ceiling of the illusion of mind and ego to have a move forward, a way higher and above the 3D circumstance to gain a better truth. Now, does this impact this relationship? It could, absolutely. Okay, in a way, doesn't necessarily mean in the 3D I'm moving away. You know, it could if we need some sort of reprieve in some way. But what this means is away, focusing the flashlight outwards, and the flashlight now is pointed inward. So it's like away from what it was that we were sort of focused on. We're rising above the 3D of an understanding here towards a different understanding, which will allow there to be flow and movement, because something is stunted here and it will be stunted here. Someone, okay, again, I don't feel it's a choice of their own so much as it is like this by design. You have been purposefully put together with some person, situation, circumstance that no matter what you do, say, or be, it's not going to do anything different other than what it does. The only thing that can shift here is an internal state of understanding and seeing beyond the illusion. That's it. That's what this is for, okay? Not the only thing it's for. Maybe there is something to be built and to be created here at some point. I don't know, but it feels stunted until this is understood and experienced, okay? So the Page of Fire, creative, enthusiastic, and motivated. Yeah, so we're stunted here, and we can't explore anywhere where it's just sort of too challenging, because again, it's an experience where maybe we're needing another in order to have movement. Okay, but like I said, there is no need for another for us to have our own sort of movement. And I think this is the realization. It's like, I don't need to keep going outwardly exploring what I have already sort of explored here and keep hitting some form of dead end. Okay, I'm seeing a white feather, which means you're divinely guided by your ancestors. Okay, and there's divine guidance back home, because the white is talking about purity. Okay, the authentic self, the true self, whatever you want to call it, the self beyond the ego. Okay, but I do feel there's something here about this wand, which is seeing something, you know, understanding something. I feel from this sort of, aha, I see it now, you know, so let's see, because I feel like there's a little bit more here. Spirit, with this Ace of Fire, this Ace of Wands, what is it the Pile One is needing to know? What is it the Pile One is needing to know? Or what is this spark of inspiration or understanding that pulls through here in order for Pile One to free themselves from feeling stuck or abandoned or lonely or rejected or separated or isolated? The Four of Air, meditation, recuperation, and contemplation. So the Four Swords, when it's in reverse, it's like we don't feel centered. We don't feel secure. It's a lot of this root chakra stuff that I was feeling like it's like it would rely on another or something to ground us or make us feel safe or secure. And so we might feel very discombobulated here, you know, and feel very tired. Okay, Five of Air. Yeah, so mistakes, melodrama, and reassessment. So we need to slow down to reassess. Okay, and it could be that we're so much wrapped up in the 3D game where it's like, but they really did do this and I really did say that. It's like very the drama, which is just in the 3D. It's nothing. It's an illusion. Okay, it's not nothing, but it's not the truth. It's like two shadows boxing it out, two egos, two perceptions. Okay, but the perception isn't an entity. You can't touch it or feel it. And so we have to not focus on this game and the strategy. Again, we have this map, okay? And I feel the map is outside of this checkerboard. And I feel like the reason we're still feeling the 5 swords with another is because we're a player in this game of the 5 swords. And we think, wow, they're the ones being sabotaged, or they're the ones. It's like, no, the flashlight. Remember, we're engaged in the game as well. And it's like, how am I engaged in this game? How do I reflect on this? How do I pull away to reflect and gain a deeper understanding? And we might need to take time apart or time for self to find some inner peace, because I don't think we are feeling peace, or just seeing the challenge. You know, the challenging situation, the challenging person, the thing that doesn't feel good, it just keeps coming upon me. It's like, yes, so now we pull away so we can reflect and gain a better look at ourselves. Okay, so we could deal with this a lot differently. Spirit, what is it pile one's needing to know? Seven of Pentacles. So this is giving me this energy. Okay, it says investment, assessment, and patience. So look at that, in the reassessment and assessment. This is the endurance, like I said. It's like in a situation, and it's like I'm invested here, or I keep like trying to like be this sort of this doer energy, and Spirit is saying like the patience here is to recognize that whatever needs to flesh out, flushes out, however it does, without any expectation. Okay, but I feel like we're very tired, and we're needing to now use the energy to invest, because we have self-preservation here. Okay, oh, where was it? Yeah, self-preservation in this 4 swords, in order to invest in our own understanding of self. Okay, outside of this game, or this 3D, or this checkerboard of what we're experiencing. Okay, but we have to be conscious doing this. If we keep doing the same thing, like I said, that's the habitual behavior that just keeps unfolding. I keep playing the game, and then there's another game and another game. We just stay playing checkers with someone, or chess, or whatever. Okay, so we have the King of Fire. Okay, now it comes out, a beautiful cherry blossom tree here, and it says inspirational, charismatic, and innovative. So ego, okay, somebody who might be in pride, somebody maybe who doesn't have a vision. So let's see, how does this play into your reading? We have the 7 of Cups, choices over analyzing and procrastination in reverse. And then we have the Knight of Earth, organized, responsible, and supportive in reverse. And I feel like somebody was unreliable here in some sort of way. And then we have the 5 of Fire, which is 5 wands, conflicts, annoyances, and competition, which is this aggressiveness. Okay, but it is in reverse. So this is like a surrendering. This is like not wanting to play the game. Okay, and then we have the Lovers in reverse, relationships, emotions, and choices. Gemini. Okay, beautiful people. I could go on and on and on all day about all of this type of stuff, okay? But we're asking specifically about your situation, and it boils down to this. You're experiencing something unpleasant in this moment. Is it always going to be this unpleasant? No. It's right here, right now. The only way for us to get in the present moment is to release the thoughts and everything else that's attached to any idea, judgment, story, whatever. It has to be connected to and looked at in a way that's like, I have the ability to either keep it alive or realize that I'm doing this sort of thought and doing these patterns and these behaviors. This is true surrender. You're being asked to surrender, not play the chess game. Okay, this doesn't mean, because when we're still in 3D and we don't understand this concept, I don't want to talk to this person, I'm no longer playing their game. There, see? No. This is about, I could be there. I could be anywhere. It doesn't matter. My surrendering is my acknowledgement and my awareness. That's all you're needing to do, is your awareness of your internal world. And your internal world right now is conflicted and challenged, and it's still engaged in the internal battle and conflict that is creating an external experience for you. And so change the inside and the outside changes. That's your guidance. Okay, right now we're stunted in a lover's type situation. And like I said, does feel like a person, does feel fated, does feel destined. Okay, but this is our destined purpose. Like I said, this experience is above this connection, because you're learning about what? You're learning about your own power within self and connecting to your essence and your divine being that no one else can do for you. But experiences can show this to you. And so right now you feel bound and locked in some form of cage. Like there's no choice. There's nothing I can do. It's like, no, not out there. There is, but there's lots you can do within, which is the awareness. And then patience with that awareness, because like I talked about bringing down the moon, it's going to take time for those feelings to dissipate, because it's not all of a sudden I'm looking within and all of a sudden all of this stuff is sort of healed and my feelings are okay. It's like with patience, with the investment of turning it always back to self, that we can bring down or connect to that subconscious fear and all of those illusions from a more enlightened, ascended vantage point that then knows how to deal with situations completely different. Okay, but I do feel like something is stuck and we're dealing with unruly people who are not showing up. Okay, beautiful angel. So this is your reading. I hope this helped you, and I will see you at the next one. All right, bye-bye. Pile number 2. You guys pick 75 with mentor. It says you are about to meet a person of high integrity who will guide you in the right direction. Wow, isn't this amazing? So you're in a situation that might be challenging for you. Otherwise, I don't know why you'd click on the video, but you're wanting to know some guidance or some advice how to manage your way through. Now, this could definitely be talking about somebody coming towards you or around you that can help you through this. So there might be an external factor here. Okay, let's see. So 75, which is the number 12. And 12 is all about gaining a higher perspective. Okay, because that's hangman energy, Pisces. But it's also 3, which is relationships. And so relationships would involve another. Okay, but I'm all about our own self-empowerment. Okay, so we should definitely never rely on another to sort of rescue us or come help us in any sort of way, although there might be some outside factor influence that does come in here with this, okay, that we're not understanding. And maybe we're like worrying about something, and it's like, why worry, when we can't foresee that there is external people or circumstances that might shift in some way where someone might sort of rescue us out of that, because that does happen as well. So let's sort of see what we have here, okay? Because there's a lot that could pull through. Now, if you want to click straight away on the channel message, you could do so. I'll put a timestamp below, but I do suggest you sit through this card layout so that we can develop your intuition, okay? And I asked Spirit what it is a pile 2 is needing to sort of know or understand some guidance throughout this point in time where they're experiencing maybe a challenging situation or circumstance, okay? So we have crack open with rose. Wow, crack open. And I can't help but see, like, I don't know, the masculine genitalia here, okay? So my mind's in the gutter here, but yeah, so I'm feeling some sort of masculine energy, which is like taking action of sorts, okay? But this sort of truth is pointing down. So maybe there's something we're not seeing or understanding just yet. Okay, the moon cycles here. So it could be something's taking a month maybe, or a moon cycle to happen or revealed. Maybe we're given a timeline here of sorts. And we have these 2 beautiful flowers. So crack open, what does this mean? The rose talks about love, okay? So pink roses are self-love, but rose is definitely love for me, a relationship. So we have sincerity with 93 and 3. Wow. So 3 is the number, like I said, of relationships. Okay. Growth, initial success. 3 is also about joy and communication and self-expression and fun. So we have authenticity, honesty, truth. Okay. So now we're knowing why this sort of truth might have been down. Like maybe there is a lack of authenticity or a lack of truth, a lack of clarity. Okay. Veracity, integrity, directness would be this sort of truth upwards. Okay, but 3 is Venus energy, which is Taurus Libra. And then we have the solar plexus energy, which could be some form of ego, some form of identity, egoic identity maybe that we're seeing, rather than some form of authenticity that might be wanting to be expressed. Some form of guidance here with mentor too. Okay, that's interesting. So we have loyalty. Wow, look at this with mentor and loyalty. So loyalty would indicate that there is support by others or a group of people or a circumstance maybe we're loyal to. Let's see, compulsion, ideal with 6 ego level. So 6 is lover's devil. Okay, so we have Gemini and Capricorn energy pulling through. Loyalty, responsibility, belonging, family, sureness, solidarity, commitment. Type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. Interesting. Very interesting. Crack open. Okay, and then we have Starry Night with acceptance, 41 and 5. So 5 is all about the conflict, loss, change, rebuild. Okay, 5 is about adventure, could be about innovation, could be about risk, freedom, challenge. Okay, but there's acceptance coming through here. Now this feels very sort of frozen or cold in some way, but the blue is throat chakra, which is this authentic expression that pulls through. And in order to be authentic and to take action on truth and honesty, we have to accept something that maybe we haven't seen or accepted. And that could be pulling on this devil energy, okay? But with the lover's energy pulling through, it's like our destined path. And either we're leaning into the path of the fear, meaning I don't accept, I'm in denial, or I don't want to see, or the path of love, which is that rose energy I was telling you, okay, of accepting, so that there could be some greater form of truth here. Something maybe where we could be committed to or loyal to. All right, so what is this thing? It's a broken bowl on the concrete. It kind of looks like a rice bowl here. It's shattering. It fell on the ground. So crack open, you guys. The bowl is shattering on the ground, on the cobblestone here. Okay, and then we have this lady looking at this fish. She looks like she's telepathically communicating with this fish. I'm kind of feeling the mentor energy. And then I'm feeling this fish. The fish is needing some form of a direction here. And we're being pointed in the right direction, mentored in the right direction here. Okay, this is very interesting energy, you guys. So we have reassuring with peaceful. Trigger statement, my life is a mess. The true statement, I find stillness within. Your own inner world is a reflection of your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Go within to find peace there, and your life will reflect that. So you might want to go listen to pile 1 because there was a lot of this whole thing here, okay? But peaceful. And with this green, this is heart chakra, which is love. Again, with this rose is love. So something going on in the inner world that feels like it's not seeing some truth here, and it thinks something is maybe broken. Okay, and then we have the Ouija, which is like communicating with the spirits. Okay, but I feel like, remember, I said telepathically, and then we're being guided here. I feel we're just being guided or instructed in some way. Yeah, okay, that's very interesting. I'll let you guys kind of read what's on there. I don't know if any of that means anything. It says William fold on here. January 1916 might be something important there, okay? All right, so we have 3 of forces with the bird's nest. And this was coming in reverse. These cards do have an upright and reverse meaning, although I'll take into consideration, but I am reading these in the upright here. But the bird's nest. So what is that? Feeling safe. It could be home, feeling secure. Again, the mentor feels like an external sort of higher power of sorts, but I don't know necessarily if it's in spirit form or spirit coming through another in this 3D form, which I feel might be more accurate. Because this bird is like a mother bird, like this mentor giving some sort of sustenance to these baby birds, and the baby bird's sort of like helpless here. Same with like this fish, it sort of can't go outside of its own sort of means yet. This is an interesting energy. So remember, what eternal knowledge, what eternal knowing can I access in human form? 13, lined ground squirrel. So 13 is Scorpio energy, which talks about the shadow self. This looks like a chipmunk here, this ground squirrel. Yeah, look at his little tail. Remember, what eternal knowing can I access in human form? Weird. I don't know what I feel about that. Okay. Do we need to do the tarot right here? Because I think maybe for this pile, I'm a little bit not knowing. Let me ask Spirit. Spirit for pile 2. Can we pull some tarot to get some guidance here in regards to what this messaging is about? Guidance for pile 2 in their current situation, circumstance. What is it that their guidance is here in their current situation, circumstance that will help them navigate through this? For the greatest and highest good of pile 2, please protect me in pile 2 as I channel this message. For the greatest and highest good of pile 2, thank you so much, pile 2, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you at this time. I'm so blessed to be here doing your reading. We have the 8 of fire, speed, activity, and multitasking. Okay, so it's communication and movement. And having a breakthrough. The Hermit, introspection, self-discovery, and mentorship. Now the Hermit is in reverse, Virgo energy. And then we have the 4 of fire, which is 4 wands, prosperity, contentment, and celebration. Okay, so this is when it's in the reverse, it's like something potentially falling apart or not coming together or not being grounded. Okay, or something being canceled. We're not finding our soul tribe or a place where we could belong to in some way. Okay, release. Endings, transformation, and freedom. So 13's pulling through again, which we had here, which is Scorpio energy. This is death. Okay, but it's called release here. So letting go of some form of a community or something like this in order to find our own stability, our own grounding, or come together, find balance and union and commitment. Okay, so 9 of air. Negativity, worry, and sleeplessness. I don't know this. I think it was in reverse. Okay, but that's 9 swords. I'll leave it like that. I'm not sure if I flipped it. And then we have the sun, success, recognition, and enthusiasm. Sun is in reverse, Leo energy. Okay, let me sit with this energy. You guys can definitely skip ahead. Okay, beautiful pile number 2. This could be your energy, someone around you. Okay, take what resonates for you. If it's not the overall energy that matches your situation, it's not your pile. Certain messages are for certain individuals. Leave those aside. Okay, so what's going on here? I feel like you are your worst enemy if this energy obviously belongs to you. Why? Because I think we're not wanting to be honest about something. Okay, for many reasons. There could be a lot of fear. There could just be a lot of judgment, or there just could be an understanding about our own situation, which I feel is untrue in some capacity to protect yourself, self-preservation of sorts. Okay. And so I feel like you're being really pushed outside of your comfort zone is really what I think is happening here by another. And I feel like whoever is brought into your world, this mentor energy, okay, is somebody who is trustworthy. And I feel like maybe you understand this. Or maybe you've seen something that cannot be unseen, because I do feel like there is an experience you're being called to do. Everything's sort of for a reason. There is something in your world right now that you're experiencing, and you might be clinging to it or telling yourself why you need to be there, or whatever dialogue is going on about it. It is actually self-defeating, keeping you in a place that will create further suffering or stuckness or a lack of growth or a lack of joy and a lack of experiencing groundedness and oneness. This experience is pushing you outside of your comfort zone. First step is to acknowledge the truth, okay? And then accept what is here. I feel like there's a truthfulness and a truth in your situation that hasn't yet been embraced. And once we embrace the truth within ourselves, then we're able to act on it. and speak your truth and act in line with it. Right now, I don't think you're acting in line with what your greatest calling and truth is here. Okay, because there might be something bigger that you're sort of involved with. And it's only bigger because you tell yourself it's bigger. I must be there, or it's not finished yet, or I got to give more to it, or I have to sort through it, or whatever the or is. Okay, but the sort of truth is in reverse. And so I think it's beyond this person, because I feel like spirit is acting through this experience and this person, because I do feel there's a 3D person, mentor, guiding. Now, this could be multiple people coming in, always sort of keeping on the same sort of path. Okay. Or this could be funneled through one individual in your world. Okay. And for some of you guys, it could just be spirit that's been trying to show you this. But I do feel as like one sort of person in the 3D that is through spirit. But what spirit is talking about here, it's not this person per se. It's spirit. And spirit is trying to wake you up here to a greater truth of yourself, to work through some egos and beliefs, and to shake you up from situation so that you could release the past and any experience that's making you play small or preventing you from experiencing life because of the what ifs, procrastination, and projection. And so I feel like you're saying to yourself at a later date, at some other point in time, maybe not now, not good for me. It doesn't make sense to me. For me, this doesn't align. And we're making these assumptions because we're seeing ourselves as it says here, my life is a mess. Okay. And I think that this is the part that spirit is saying is really the untruth. Now we could say, well, it is a mess because I have this, that, and the other. There's definitely devil here. Okay. So there could be a whole bunch of things out of our control. Maybe I'm battling bad habits, vices, addictions. Maybe I feel really, really like my circumstance has me chained and my hands are tied behind my back. There's nothing I can contribute. There's nothing I can do. I can't see my way through this thing. Like, that's what it is. And so we're falling back on that story, which I feel is ego. And I feel like there's a deeper truth here. And the deeper truth is asking us to look at that story and look at that and say, that thing is not me. And that thing cannot prevent me from making movement and change and decisions, because you're being called to make a decision despite that. And that's the thing that will break you out of whatever it is you're experiencing. So it's kind of like a catch-22. It's like, once I undo this thing, then I'll be free to engage in that thing. Or then I could be peaceful, or then I can create roots, or then I could be centered, and then I can show up. But at first I must work on this thing. And it's like, no, this other thing that I feel is more aligned to security and your stability and your sense of self. It is connected to a true part of yourself. That thing has been trying to pull you out of this thing that you're experiencing, which is, I feel cold and I don't feel it's aligned anymore, and we could definitely have a relationship with the past thing that now is sort of not giving, because it, like I said, feels cold in some way, and justifying the story of the past, or telling ourselves whatever the mind narration goes, but still being completely floundering and lost in that world. And so there is a call here, because this is all about what's going to help you, guidance. And the first step is to acknowledge and to accept what actually is 3D is not you. So there's that. Okay, 3D, whatever's happening, your experience is not you. Yes, your experiences, because you're a accumulation of all of what's happened. In some way, it's made your perceptions, it's made your ideas, it's made your accumulation of how you engage in the world, which, by the way, is pulled through this ego, this solar plexus. Okay, but beyond that, you're your essence. Beyond that, you're the self that connects to the truest part of you that was before you were born, before you engaged with this devilly thing, before all of your experiences. That was you. Okay. And so that part of yourself, you're being called to connect to. And the only way to connect to that is to move beyond the 3D circumstances here that feel very limiting, through truth and through clarity, honesty. Okay. I feel like there's an ask here to take a look from a place of truth, who we're pegging our energy to, because family is pulling through very strong. So our sense of family, I don't know, our sense of community, where I'm sort of dancing with, where I'm hanging my hat, where I'm invested in. And I feel it's misaligned here. And I feel like there needs to be a truth spoken to ourselves. And if we truly still are an ego, we won't see it. And we're still like singing the narration of why we got to stay there, you know? And that's the thing that we're being challenged to look at. It's like this is misaligned. This is actually inauthentic. This is actually where the suffering happens. This is the thing that if we upkeep will continuously present more disharmony and challenge and struggle, and at the expense of us finding happiness and harmony. And I feel like we might feel a lot of anxiety that we don't want to feel, going outside of our comfort zone or facing this devil or doing something that we might feel, I'm too unprepared, I'm too weak, I can't let go, or I'm too used to that world or that community or freedom as I know it. Okay, but it's a false sense of freedom. It's a false sense of self. It's a false sense of identity, or a false sense of joy, or a false sense of fulfillment, because there is nothing here that's going to be nurturing your soul / future growth, purpose, and direction. And so everything is on the other side. Purpose, direction, fulfillment, centeredness, something to be loyal to, something to work with that is more aligned. Okay, but how do I get there? The only way, like I say, is to acknowledge the lie to self, or the thing we're not wanting to see or admit to self, and then accept the fact that those things that are happening, that are in my world, are not the reason why I cannot move forward or engage or communicate or involve myself. Because the sooner you're pulled towards where I feel you're being guided to, the more this other world sort of falls away. And I think you need help doing this. Okay. And we might think it's something I must do alone, or it's, I am praying to spirit and spirit will know when it's time, or something like this. You know, we could be saying this and spirit is saying, this is spirit coming to you. This is reminding me of the story of, I'm probably going to butcher it, but it goes something like this. You know, someone who's very spiritual here and is praying to God. Okay. And their house is getting flooded. And so the person is like, God, my house is being flooded. And then they go to the second floor, you know, and they're praying to God. And then God sends a canoe. And people are like, hey, come into the canoe and we'll rescue you from your flooding house. And then the person who's like on the second floor is like, wait, you know, God is going to come and save my home. He's going to save me. And then the canoe rows away. And then the water is getting higher. And then that person goes to the third floor. And then a helicopter comes. They're like, hey, come and get on board so we could rescue you. It's like, no, I'm praying to God. There's going to be a right time where I'll be rescued from this thing. And then the helicopter goes away and then the water is rising. And now this person's on the roof saying, God, I'm praying to you and you're not coming. And God's like, I sent you a helicopter. I sent you a canoe and you were too blind to see it. And now you're sort of on the roof here and your own sort of demise. Okay. So I feel like there's a rescuing that's in front of you. And maybe you know that it's a rescuing, but it's like, oh, but, I don't know, a whole bunch of things, you know. Sometimes we don't want to be rescued. We think that we deserve to suffer, or that it's our fault, or that I must be this or that. Again, that's ego. I got to be strong, or I got to do it on my own, or me, myself, you know. There, like I said, I was feeling masculine energy from these two flowers and this sword. And so it could be that our pride, and not that only masculine energy has pride, but the pride would sound something like, I got to do it myself, or I must be strong enough, you know, to do something. It's like, yeah, you are doing something. The doing is being truthful. The doing is acknowledging some great truth. The doing is allowing yourself to be free to engage and move and release what doesn't serve you as organically as you can through a way of acceptance and truth. Even if some parts are still here, because it's not a one and done as you move through this new world. But I feel like we're blocking ourselves sort of this new world, or just like I don't know, toying with it or teasing with it here, you know? And I feel like the great truth is maybe we really feel like we're helpless, like this fish, you know, has no legs, it's floundering, aimless, directionless. These little baby birds, they have no wings and they're like waiting around, mama bird, feed me, mama bird, you know? And that might be the truth of our situation is like, there is nothing we can do to battle this devil, no matter how much power we have, no matter how strong we are. And it's like, I don't want to be defeated by this devil, or I don't want to accept some form of thing, you know? But I feel like what we're not wanting to accept is some form of reality and truth. And God sending you a helicopter and a canoe and saying, hello, you know? So you're being called to remember and to see something here that goes beyond your circumstance and your situation. And I think it's a remembrance of something that maybe you haven't connected to in a very long time. Maybe it's your own sense of vulnerability or trust of other, or allowing other to help you, or being guided by other, or humility in some way, you know? That's what I feel is sort of missing here. But I don't know for sure because there's a lot of questions I have about this reading that isn't making a whole lot of sense to me. So if you're still here, bless you. Let's see what questions you have that Spirit can answer. Spirit, for pile 2, what am I missing? Am I reading this right? Am I missing something? Clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good. Now, if your question was, can I trust the situation? Am I going to get hurt? Is it going to fall apart? Is it going to? And Spirit is saying green is the heart chakra, which means, first of all, we have to listen to our heart, which might be very hard to do when we say, well, listening to my heart just leads me to disappointments, or it could lead to heartbreak in some way. But Spirit is saying, no, it leads us to a greater awakening. And so we could experience challenge for sure. Okay, but when we're really tapped into our heart space, that challenge is not the dictator of our happiness. Okay, and I feel like here with high integrity and loyalty, I think you can trust your situation. And this is the right direction. I feel like we're directionless. This is giving you direction. It's giving you purpose, and it's giving you some form of health, I feel here. Nutrients or solidness or something, okay? And we're refusing it out of some belief. Okay, and I don't know if it's subconscious. I really don't. It feels to me like because the ego, we could be acting out of the ego, which we don't realize if that's the subconscious pain body, but we could be recognizing when we're in ego, and now it no longer is ego so much as it is we're acting out the pain, you know? So now we're sort of converting to allowing things to sort of flow. Let's see, Spirit, for pile number 2, what am I missing exactly here for pile 2? Guidance in their situation. What can they do exactly here? What are they being guided to do? How do they surrender? How do they release? What is it that they're practically being asked to do in order to move forward or confront this or understand something that they're not seeing just yet, or understanding about their freedom, their acceptance, their liberation? So we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. So that's like, it could be an avoidance. It could be a running away. It could be not wanting to confront something. Okay, sometimes it's the ghosting card. So we could be like ghosting ourselves rather than confronting something, not accepting. So I just run, or I avoid, or I don't deal with it. 2 of Swords. Sitting of 2 minds. Indecision, okay? Indecision, avoidance, confusion. Avoidance. Okay, and we saw 9 swords in reverse, so causing anxiety in my mind. 1 sword, my mind gives me all sorts of stories, and the other sword, my mind gives me all sorts of stories. And what we need to know is when we're in the mind, we're in story. And there could be truths in both of those mind stories. Okay, truths to us. However, if it's in the mind, rest assured it's just a story, nonetheless. And I feel like 1 sword is the stay put sword, dance with the devil story I've always done, and stay in a state that isn't going to be fulfilling, and it isn't creating what it is that Spirit is guiding you towards. The other sword is unknown, and we can make all sorts of reasons why we cannot, you know, and pick the devil we know and avoid it and sit there and hum and haw here. Okay, so let's see. What is Spirit talking about then? We have the Knight of Water. Romantic, emotional, and dramatic. So this is how we express our emotions. Okay, remember Rose said was all about love. Okay, so the Knight of Water is the knight in shining armor, showing love, expressing love, being open with one's emotions. And then we have the Six of Water, memories, childhood, and nostalgia. So what is this? Stuck in the past, person, place, thing in the past. My childhood, my memories, and like I said, family was coming through. So this could be a family situation, a relationship of the past, what I used to do when I was younger, or something I was emotionally tied to, is preventing me from living in the here and now future or present moment that's going to create my future. I feel like there's an authentic with this white feather self-expression that is being stifled as a result of living in the past. Past memory, past experience, past nostalgia, and a belief that's tied to that keeps pulling on those emotions that are actually only going on within us. It's actually an untruth. Okay, it's an untruth. Why? Because God's truth is what's happening in the present moment. That's the true truth, what's happening in the present moment. Everything else is illusion. Everything else is the emotional body being tied to a story and a memory and a mirage of an experience that is no longer present, but we're emotionally tied to it. And so it's like, I remember, like all of this stuff, and it has so much emotional pull over me that it's creating my suffering. And I'm stuck here and I don't know my way out and I don't know it. And Spirit's saying, trust that the other sort of the not knowing is going to guide you out of this stuck situation. Okay, because I do feel like this other sword is something you can connect to in a heart space. I feel it is nurturing. And I feel there's something about remembering here, but not remembering, like your 3D self or your experience, because this is like past relationship, family situations, but it's a remembering beyond that. Like, remember your essence, remember maybe your past life and what you were being called to do. Remember you were being asked to rise above maybe this sort of devilly energy or this experience, that there's something greater for you that's now time to get on board, that we cannot hang on to memory of the past and the dead dog that's growing maggots, still trying to relive it and not accept and acknowledge that the world is moving you forward towards something different. And we can close our eyes all we want and not to deal with it, and it's going to create more of the 9 swords, and it's going to create more of this suffering, because the death in reverse, which you got, is an inability for us to let go of the past. And the only way we stay stuck to the past is by feeding that mind story. And so now it's habitual and it pulls on the emotions. They're one sort of tied together. The thought comes and then the emotion comes right away. And it's like, I can't ignore that I feel this way, but I still feel this way. I feel this way. I feel this way. It's like, okay, you do feel this way. You are stuck emotionally. And Spirit is saying what you're being called to look at, though, is that thought is actually stemmed around a belief system that's going on within you. And that belief system is actually untrue. That belief system is a narration of what you're telling yourself. It needs to be examined, it needs to be looked at, and it needs to be seen with the eyes of authenticity and truth in order to accept. Okay? Hard to do when we're feeling emotionally charged, because when we accept it, it's like, then maybe there's something really we have to let go of and sever. And we have so much emotional pull to it, but it's not what it was. It's the dog with maggots. And that doesn't take away that the dog was your pet for 20 years, That's still an experience that you had, but you're not those 20 years. You're beyond that. And there's more here that I feel is beautiful and very aligned. It's maybe another 20 years of another dog, But we're not seeing this, and we'd rather stay with the maggot dog than have a beautiful 20 years with a new dog. And tell herself that new dog's not going to be the same or whatever, but it's like, yeah, but the maggot dog is still happening. So would you rather be with the maggot dog dreaming of the past 20 years, or finally on the other side saying, wow, why didn't I just let go of the maggot dog sooner? I know I use such dramatic maggot dog and we don't like it, but I'm using it as an example. Okay, so 6 of fire, success, recognition, and self-esteem. So what is this? This could be an ego death. This could be us so concerned with our own image. Okay. And this could be like, I don't know if I would succeed. I'd probably fail anyway. Again, I was getting that masculine energy. I can't do, or I want to know for certain that I would be successful or seen in this way. So therefore I just don't, no, this isn't about how you appear. This isn't about what others would think of you. This isn't nothing to do with an egoic identity. And so the ego must be put aside. The pride, the need to win, how will I look? How will I appear? How will I succeed? All of that stuff. If that's preventing you, the spirit is saying that is the thing that needs to go away. Okay. And we cannot be in an energy here of where pride gets in the way of our decisions, especially when we feel like emotionally in the heart space pulled to something that we're being called to experience without ego, without pride. And we don't even need the confidence to experience this thing at all. Okay. At all. That's an untruth here. So, magician, yeah, the power is in your hands. And you might think, I don't have. And spirit is saying, you do have. So no matter, the only thing that is getting in the way is you telling yourself you don't have, but you do. And so we believe the untruth. And we believe what's not true, not real. And spirit is saying, the power is in your hands to create this new future. Okay, to manifest a beautiful 3D experience here for you. It's there for you. You're the only one that's not confronting what you're being called to confront, because you're hanging on to a dead dog maggot story and convincing yourself that that is somehow you or tied to you or somehow an identity here, that gives me some form of maybe freedom of self or empowerment of self, but it's actually not empowering you. More empowering would be to free yourself of this devil. Okay, because you're actually prisoner to the ego. You're actually prisoner to the image, the false image, at the expense of your heart. And that's not freedom at all. That's being bullied by the devil and the illusion. That's resisting, avoiding, and not accepting a great truth. And we're preventing some form of disappointment, I feel here, because we think it won't go good or we will disappoint anyway, It's like, yes, disappointments may happen, but this experience is still going to manifest in greatness, and it's still going to be in line with your purpose. But you need to pick up the sword of truth. You need to have the new beginning. You need to be in the mindsets to manifest this through way of acceptance. And once the mind is aligned with truth and acceptance, and then it starts to manifest. Okay, we're the ones manifesting our 3D. But if we're totally disjointed and we're not in our mind in line with the whatever it is we're saying in our mind is sort of what manifests, And here I think we keep repeating the same things that are like about the past, in the past, unfulfilled of the past, something we're loyal to of the past, But it's not getting anywhere. We're committed to the past. Okay. 8 of water, walk away, searching, empowerment, and fulfillment. So I think you feel empowered in some way by making the decision to stay in the past, because you feel maybe you're being honoring some form of emotion or something like this. It's like, yeah, but those are my true emotions and I truly feel this way. So I'm going to be authentic to my emotion. It's like, no, your emotion is being pulled by an untrue thought right now that you're having. So we got to go beyond and look at the subconscious of what's going on here. There's a need to walk away from your current situation because it is no longer going to serve you and your growth. It's no longer authentic to you and your new experiences. And the only way to have our hands open to experience the new is to release what we're holding on to. The dead dog, the thing of the past, the situation, whatever this was, relationship, person, place, thing of the past, what happened to me, my attachment to it, and you're being called right now by the universe, by a certain someone, by a certain something, certain people, guided so that you remember that you are beyond these experiences and that there's something you're here to do, and you cannot do it unless you get here, and only you could get here. And so don't fall into the lie, you got to commit yourself to the new. Don't commit yourself to the mind story of the past and enforce that belief that keeps you there. All right, beautiful angel, this is your reading. I hope this helped you, and I will see you at the next one. All right, bye-bye. Gorgeous angel, pile number 3. You guys have the card of surrender, which is Hangman. energy with the 12. Release and surrender all control and let nature take its course. Beautiful. So I have pre-shuffled oracle cards. I've not looked at these. And I asked Spirit specifically for pile 3. What is the guidance in their current situation? What is the advice? What are they needing to understand or see or do to help them through whatever it is they're going through? Okay, so this could be internal. This could be an external situation. We'll see what this is about. I do suggest you sit through this card layout to develop your intuition, which you'll see, feel, or hear to determine whether this pile is for you. Okay, leave specific messages for certain individuals. Okay, but the overall energy in this reading should be something that matches what you're going through. Don't force it to fit and go check out another pile if it's not your pile. Okay, so I'll put timestamp below if you want to go straight away to the channeled message. So yeah, hangman energy I'm getting from here. In order to understand what surrender means, we might need to change our perspective. So we could have the intention to surrender, because you always hear this, right? If we want to get out of resistance and suffering and go in a way that feels lighter or easier, we must surrender. But it's like, why is it still difficult? Why is it still challenging? Most likely we still haven't surrendered. Okay, so there's something I feel we're needing to see differently or understand about ourselves or our situation from a different perspective in order for there to be an understanding what surrender might actually mean or look like. Okay, so release and surrender all control and let nature take its course. So we have perfection, 101. So we have magician energy. 1 is all about new beginnings, potential opportunity. It's fool energy, which is Aquarius, and also magician, which is Virgo, Gemini. So it says perfection, experience, integration, accepting others, growth, balance, various visions, mistake acceptance. Type 1, the perfectionist, instinctive center between control and letting go. Something about control is really coming through here. And we might know we're not surrendered, or we might think we are. I don't know which is which yet, but I feel like there is some control still happening here. Okay, she's wearing white, which is the authentic self. So the authentic self doesn't need control. The authentic self knows that spirit is going to unfold as spirit does. The authentic self knows when and how to sort of be this magician to manifest certain things through consciousness. Okay, but the magician, when it is not an authentic self, meaning it's still an ego, still hasn't surrendered, the magician is only manifesting more things to control, more things that are going out of control so he could control more. Okay, so we're getting this sort of magician manifestation of a need to control. That's kind of what I'm getting here, okay? Weakness with 26 and 8. Avoidance, ego level. So it says weakness, powerlessness, helplessness, fragility, vulnerability, a loss of control, situation of inferiority. Type 8, the challenger, instinctive center between strength and weakness. So nothing in coincidence. We have 3 cards of control here. And maybe we feel like, oh no, I might lose control. Or what if I lose control? Or uncomfortableness with losing control of sorts. Okay, but 8 is my ego number. So that's strength. Okay, Leo. And then we also have 8 is the star, which is the future. It's about healing. It's about destiny. Okay, that's Aquarius energy with that 8. So we have Spirit Guardian of Spring, activation 36, or the number 9. It looks like a maypole. Activation. And we see a swan, which could talk about love. Spring talks about a new beginning, things sort of budding, coming to fruition. Okay. Something organic, so like trees and flowers and spring, like it just happens. There's nothing we do to make the buds bud and the leaves bud and the things grow. It's spirit. Okay, so I feel like maybe we just need reassurance and how this is going to happen so that the mind can relax here, because something is unfolding here and it's beautiful. We see all these stars, which is giving me this Aquarius energy again. Maybe we're really concerned with her future, Maybe we have some health issue here too, potentially. For some of you guys, I see you're lying down here, feeling weak in some capacity, helpless. Okay, so we have this bell with, I don't know what this is. It kind of looks like a religious trinket of sorts. So I don't know if you guys know what this is, but this is kind of giving me like, it looks like a pendant necklace, but it's kind of giving me those things that they use in the churches, like with holy water. I know it's not, okay, but it kind of looks like it to me. And like the bell, I'm getting church bells. Like I'm getting a lot of church energy from this thing. But we're also seeing this like a rope, which I'm getting the whip in the Lenormand, which is challenge. You know, it could be, like challenge. The whip is about confrontation, and it could even be about abuse or like, but like we use a whip to get things into shape or under control. You know, we whip the horse. I don't like that, but you know, that's sort of what's coming through, some form of control here with that. Okay, and then we have a hand, and this hand is open, but this hand, it looks like the skin is peeled, but it could be some sort of henna tattoo. I don't know. Look at this, or henna tattoo. It's kind of creepy if it's not henna. I think it is henna though. But it looked like peeled hands. And you know when our hands are raw, when we're like doing something, and then we like burn through the first layer, and then we can't touch anything because it's raw. Like a cup of coffee would be like, oh, it's too hot, you know? And so I feel like it's almost too difficult for us to just surrender and let it come to us in some way, because it'd be too painful in some way. So there seems to be something like this here happening. Fascinating energy. Okay, so we have empowered, focus. It says trigger statement, I don't want to be here. And then the true statement is, I am exactly where I need to be. You are ready to allow the energy from the divine and Mother Earth to fuel you as you fulfill your potential here. Wow. That's very powerful. So empowered would mean what? I have a sense of ability to know when to surrender and know when to take control of situation if I need to, and know the difference, you know? And maybe we're learning the difference here. Okay. So we have ancestry. So this is our lineage here. We could be working through some challenging ancestral wounding, generational stuff coming through potentially that's been handed down to us through our family and our lineage. Okay, and then we have two worlds, the Two of Scrolls. So take a look at this. I'm being called to read this one. So what's going on here? We see the thread spinner, and it says two worlds, Two of Scrolls. Okay. Let's see. What is this? Two scrolls. Two. I don't think it's here. No, it'd be under scrolls. Okay. Roses, bolts, forces, and keys. Sorry, guys. Oh. Two. It's right here. Okay, so it says upright. I don't know that it came upright, but we'll see what it says. It says, surrounded by a spinning wheel and a basket of wool, a beautiful woman, worried and tired, gazes at the embers in the fireplace. She has worked hard at her spinning for the coins that are gathered on the table. The expansive window behind her looks out onto a Buddhist monastery high in the mountains. When you receive this card, there is a conflict in your life between what the outer world requires of you and how your own spirit directs you. You actually may have had a number of past lives. Oh my gosh, we have ancestry here. Okay, where you wanted to focus on your spiritual growth and therefore joined a monastery to do so. Then, missing the wonders of that secular world could offer, such as love, family, financial success, you chose the secular world exclusively in your next incarnation. Yet this didn't offer the spiritual focus you also sought. Because of this, it's likely that you bounced back and forth from the monastic to the personal in a number of incarnations and through a number of different faiths. You're now again experiencing a polarity between a fully self-realized spiritual experience and a personal success in your day-to-day life. It often feels as if you have to let one go in order to embrace the other. This push-pull will continue until you learn to bring your spiritual self into every situation in your personal life. Wow, that hit hard. It's time to replace worry and trust and ignite your eternal truth with your temporal reality. If you have a job or in a relationship that will actively pull you from your spirit, you must deal with it or possibly leave it. Who you are forever is who you are now. Let nothing impede that power. When you own it, absolute self-realization in both worlds will elude you no longer. Wow, that is a crazy message. I haven't read this book. So beautiful, because there seems to be some sort of grounding of something here. Blow, wind. So we're getting some air energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. It says, how can I deepen trust that my intuition knows the way? All right. And then we have elderberry with cyclicality, meaning the cycles of life. Oh, we see the moon phases. This is giving me High Priestess too. Elderberry. So the cycle could certainly be this duality, this in the spirit realm and then in the 3D realm and bouncing back and forth type thing that we got from that book. I do want to do some tarot here because I feel it's like a partial message. So let's see, spirits for beautiful pile number 3. So what is the guidance for pile 3 then here? What is the guidance for pile 3 that they're being called to consider, look at, and understand for them to navigate through their situation? Clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good of pile 3. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile number 3. Thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you so much, pile 3, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you at this time. I'm so blessed to be here doing a reading. For pile 3, guidance. Ace of Fire, and it says opportunity, creativity, and action. The Magician, manifestation, empowerment, and preparedness. The 8 of Water, which is 8 cups. It's in reverse. It says searching, empowerment, and fulfillment. Why is this Ace of Wands here? And the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. And it says contentment, luxury, and independence. And then we have the Chariot, Cancer energy. It says willpower, victory, and recognition. And then we have the Page of Water, which is Page of Cups in reverse. Sensitive, open-heartedness, and intuitive. I feel this one as well, which is the 10 of Wands in reverse, which is surrender. Okay, that's my surrender card. 10 of Wands in reverse, overwork, stress, and imbalance. So I got to put something down here. Okay, and then the 7 of Pentacles, investment, assessment, and patience. All right, I'm going to put this, where do we put it? I'm going to just slide this over. You guys can skip ahead to the channeled message as I get this in a place where I can actually read it. Okay. Let me sit here with this energy. Okay, beautiful pile number 3. This one's hard for me to channel. Okay, but I'm going to do my best to communicate what I do know, and then hopefully we get some more about what we are needing to know. Okay, so I feel like really at the end of the day, your message here is, what are you needing to do to guide you out of whatever suffering is going on or in your world is surrender. Okay. But it's like, how do we do it? And what does it mean by this? Because we might think that, like I said, we are surrendered already, or we might not know what we're needing to do in that process. Okay. I feel like their underlying pin of what's going on here is your need for control. Now, when I say you, it's not really the you so much as it is some mind activity that happens that makes us feel okay or safe or understood or something that we're used to and familiar with, because we like to stick with what's familiar, And so when I stick to what's familiar, when I know what's going to happen, it makes me feel okay. And when I put outside of that, I don't feel okay. And I need to cling and attach and control and know that I will be okay. So we feel like we're floundering or dying if we don't understand. Okay. This feels uncomfortable, but it must be uncomfortable in order for us to learn the lesson, because as we learn, you can't really learn when things aren't uncomfortable or through experience, right? Otherwise, we're just reading in a book and it doesn't get learned, inner understood. What are you inner understanding? It seems to me like there is a trust in the intuition that's still questionable here. And we're still repeating certain patterns, habits, behaviors that are putting us in situations where we're experiencing the same thing over and over and over in certain ways that is being broken, like ancestral wounds that are being broken, or patterns within self that we're finally healing and detaching from. And this is quite the process here, okay? And being in this process is like, I don't want to experience this. Why do I need to go through this? Like, I would just rather deal with other situations or not have to look at this or do that. It's like, it doesn't matter what we're wanting. And it doesn't matter what we think is good and bad. And it doesn't even matter that we want some form of a control here, or none of that matters. Okay. It really doesn't. And the sooner we can get to accepting, because that's part of surrender, accepting that what is happening is going to be happening for us, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's challenging, even if it hurts, even if it feels disorientating. It is happening for us. We must trust in this, and we don't right away. And that doesn't mean we're abnormal, and it doesn't mean we're bad. Oh, I don't trust the divine. Oh, I don't trust it. How does that come? It comes through an organic process of being thrown in the situation over and over and over again. Those cyclical behaviors, those circumstances where we're face to face with the same sort of situation, same sort of person, or same confrontation, or same, is Spirit's way of putting in front of us the lesson that must be learned. And Spirits isn't counting or saying, okay, by time 100, you should know. We do this. And we do this because it's like, man, I thought I transcended past this. I thought I could move beyond this. I thought. And so there's all this judgment. Again, what is that? That's not surrendering. Because surrendering is a process of, I carry no judgment. I carry no expectation. I don't even say by this point I should know or understand or have accomplished. No, none of that, because that's all a judgment. That's all us in our mind trying to project onto an ideal version of how we think we need to be or should be. All of this stuff is the stuff we're healing, because once we see through our own judgments, our own expectations, our own attachments of who we need to be, how we need to get there, how it should look, we just keep repeating the same pains. And all we're being asked to do is let go and peel, let go and peel. And it sounds simple because we're not being asked to do anything. We're really being asked to let the universe do everything for us. But how do we let go and peel? We can't let go and peel the things back when we're hanging on and clutching and we're still believing and judging and have ideas that it should go like this, or I should be like this, or this shouldn't happen again, or I should be in this energy next time this happens, or this is how I need to be or want to be. It's like, no, there is reality. There's just who you are. Okay. And so acceptance is surrender. Okay. And I feel like you are being called to do this. One, to break the ancestral sort of patterns that have been running through the family lineage in some capacity here, that's been handed down to you through lessons, through maybe many lifetimes. Okay. But what is this about? This is about self-love. Okay, and I'm pointing at her because she's wearing this pink, cute little dress here. Okay, so Ace of Wands doesn't mean self-love, but the Ace of Wands is a new beginning of life force. Okay, and so the life force energy is within you, and it could be clouded, muddled, and totally misdirected and misguided, and burning energy in things that are weighing you down. When we're clutching, attaching, needing to control, it's so tiring and exhausting, and we're carrying burdens we don't need to. What are these burdens? Beliefs of myself, self-speak about me, ideas I have about who I need to be and how the situation must go. All of that stuff is burdening you, and it might not make any sense to the mind. Well, what am I supposed to do? Just not think about it and sort of go, like my mind just goes there. It's like, yeah, let the mind go there. Do not resist. Again, that's surrender. To let the mind, okay, because what you resist persists. And so if you are like, I don't need to think those thoughts. I don't want to have those thoughts. I don't want to be here. I don't want that. Okay, I don't want is a form of resistance, which is not surrender, by the way. Okay, and when we think we need to do something and we're not just allowing, that is also not a form of surrender. So how do you do this middle dance? It's difficult, and it'll keep presenting itself in front of you. Okay, and it's asking for both. It's asking, do not resist, do not attach to ideals of how it has to go or where you should be or how you want to be. Now, it's good to have an idea of, I want to heal certain parts within me that maybe I don't see right now that might be contributing to my suffering. Okay, pray to the divine, and then open your hand to the divine and say, show me. But I'm not going to actively do anything to heal. Like, we'd be very egoic thinking I have the ability to do healing. Like, no, you don't. None of us do. So there is nothing to do. You cannot heal, By the way, there is nothing to heal, because what is all this stuff? This is an imaginary attachment, an energy activity, a mind activity that's happening. So it's not even real. It's not even an entity. So there is nothing to heal. There's just identifying and seeing my self-dialogue, my own attachments to what I'm telling myself is creating this suffering, this need to know and need to control and a need to be and a need to resist what I don't like. All of that is not surrendering. I don't want to have these dreams. I don't want to have this experience. That is not surrendering. Spirit's saying, I'm not going to lead you astray. You might not like what you're experiencing. And that's fine to not like it. No one's asking you to lie and say, this is great, positivity, spiritual bypassing. Everything is great. Law of attraction. I'm going to say it's good. No, I don't feel good. It feels uncomfortable as F. Good. Now we're acknowledging and we're surrendering to the truth. It feels uncomfortable. But now a deeper truth is that's just a feeling. The feeling is never dictating the exact present moment circumstance. The feeling is coming from within you based on a thought that is tied to an inner belief that's been there before this experience. And so why is this feeling coming up? There must be a belief here in place, Spirit, that I have, that I hold, that is trying to show me something that needs to be looked at. It needs to be understood. And I need to see through that belief, because it might be an untruth. It might be something that's leading me astray or leading me to think something of myself that is not true. It's creating a need for me to control, be better, do better, know better, something about me that needs to change. No, and that's not surrender. Okay, so the hangman, like I said, is a period of enlightenment when we're finally rising above the nose level of things to gain a higher perspective to say, now I see, And yesterday's channeled message, or what I was communicating in that first episode of my podcast, I was talking about when we're in the movie, you're in the matrix, we're doing the action, we're needing control, we're acting out of ego, we're in the mind, we're telling ourselves how we need to be and what we need to do to enact these things. It is almost impossible for us to become the person who's viewing the movie, seeing the actors on stage. We think we're this actor. Okay, and so there's this need to observe as the observer of your life and your actions and your thoughts and your mind stories without getting in the way of it. Not trying to change it, not trying to say it's not there, not trying to heal it. It doesn't need to be healed. There's no healing that happens here other than just observing it, letting it be what it's doing. Okay, and it's like depolarizing the intensity Because the more we see it, the more we see through the illusion and the untruth. It's like the absurdity of thinking that me, a little I in this universe, has any control at all. That's absurd. Why am I fighting this? Why am I worrying about this thing here at 2 a.m. when I'm in bed? I can't do anything about it. There's nothing I can do as a doer. And to think I can do something is actually the ego thinking it's like above the universe in some way, like it has some power. Okay. And the only real power we have is seeing through the illusions of what's not real and then making decisions based on truth, based out of full consciousness, not from fear, not need for control, not need to attach, not need to manipulate how we want to be or how we want it to go. But in that moment of truth and reality, in making decisions. And that's what's available to you only when you're awake and conscious and free of beliefs and attachments to stories that are telling you you need to do this or be that, or it should be like this, or I shouldn't feel that way. So those are all judgments. Okay. And when we do this, we will feel almost helpless. Why? Because we still haven't developed that relationship within our intuition and with the divine. It comes over time. It's like, and then we might beat ourselves up over that. Why am I not spiritual? Why don't I believe in this? And then we cling to it again, or we might experience something that feels uncomfortable again. It's like, see, I must control. See, that happened. Exactly. I let go and then that happened. It's like, no, it's not surrender. Surrender is a true acceptance. Okay. And that means I will build up this trust and this belief in my intuition and in the divine over time, but I must get there. And so this is why I'm going batty here over and over and over. Maybe situations keep presenting itself, And so again, what I resist persists. And so there's a resistance here, and it could be at a very minute level. I'm resisting this little thought. I'm resisting this idea of some form of truth that might be trying to present itself because I don't want to accept it, or I don't want to sit with that discomfort. And it stays there. It stays there. It stays there. It will stay there. It needs to be acknowledged and seen, especially when we're being called by the universe to look at these things, and it's maybe like I never had to look at things I could sort of avoid, I could sort of not to deal with. It's like, well, no, now we're being called to work with the universe, allow things to flow, even if it's uncomfortable. Okay, but I feel like this card to me was talking about, it says activation here. I feel like you're coming online. Okay, now for some of you guys, this could be a full integration of the spiritual self being integrated in the 3D from a balanced place. Okay, and for some of you guys, this could be coming online to spirituality or seeing that there's something greater or higher and really breaking out of the mind and finally rising above it to see, whoa, there is a voice in there that doesn't belong to me. That's actually not me. That's trying to tell me who I am, that believes it's me. It's not. It's like this little voice that's like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Now you're this and now you're that. It's like, I don't need to buy those stories and get comfortable with detaching from that voice and be comfortable with the disorientation of maybe letting things be and letting the universe sort of do its thing. But I might be very raw and it might not go perfect. And if I don't do it the first time, then I try and try and try again, because I feel this is going to take repeat exposure. And that's okay. There is no one and done. So repeat exposure to the thing and know that this is the way the universe is wanting you to undo it or to see through it. And it's very natural, just like I said, when I laid the cards, like the nature, the trees, the flowers, it doesn't struggle to bloom. God has its back. The flower blooms, the nature takes care of it. It rains when it needs to. The nutrients is there. The flowers grow, the grass grows, the tree grows, even in the wilderness when there's no one there sort of maintaining it. And so you're a beautiful nature God child here. Okay. So you're the child of God that is being given this experience of life. There is nothing that you're needing to control or do, because that's a man-made illusion. And we got to undo that sort of belief. And the only way to do it is for the universe to prove to us that it's okay to surrender that. And universe is saying, I want to show you this. I want to show you it's okay to surrender. I want to show you it's okay to trust your own intuition and go where it's uncomfortable. Even if you don't know where it's leading you, it's okay. And I will show you this, but you must trust and you must have your skin in the game here too. But every time you cling and attach and do the narration and then believe it, you're sort of going against what it is that you're being called to experience here. And so there's certain things here that I feel you're having a hard time letting go of and walking away from and accepting. Okay. And Spirit is saying it's going to take as long as it takes until you find some form of balance and until you integrate some of this shadowy thoughts or beliefs and see it and become aware of it. Then it gets transmuted into light. But if we don't see it and acknowledge it, it becomes the driver of our life. So my fear, my need for control, my inability to see a greater truth is what's driving me. The anxiety, the decisions I'm making, the discomfort in that world keeps perpetuating cyclically, and I keep experiencing the same disappointments. And Spirit's saying, we're moving you forward from that. Okay, we're going to move you forward from that, but it requires a transmutation of that by seeing it, being aware of it, even if we're uncomfortable with it, and then somehow managing to find balance through it. We're being pulled by the universe till we get to the other side, victorious. So you're guaranteed victory and success through a process of balance, through a process of observation and shadow transmutation, but also through a process of surrender and release. I'm no longer carrying what's not mine. I'm no longer resisting what I can't, because it is reality and I cannot fight with reality. Guess who wins? The universe wins. Every time we fight reality, reality's going to win. The ego can stay in the mind suffering, pretending that it's doing something and feeling okay in the mind. Oh, yeah, I came up with a story. I came up with a rebuttal. I came up with an idea, and now my mind is okay. Meanwhile, in the outside universe, whatever's happening out there is still happening out there. And so whether we're in a worry state, in a comfortable state, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's not impacting this manifestation on the outside world. And so once we know that our mind state and our story and our dialogue doesn't need to happen, we don't need to suffer, and we don't need to stay there, and then we could focus on directing this chariot, making conscious choice, because now our hand is open. It's like, wow, now I see the choice in front of me. Now my life force energy is here, rather than being burnt or tired or drained on trying to control and resist and force and the shouldas and the wouldas and the couldas. No, I don't need to do that no more. Now I'm free. And when I'm free, I manifest differently. Why? Because I'm conscious. I'm no longer manifesting more to worry about, more things to control, more stories and thoughts in my mind. That's what we're manifesting when we keep staying here. And so we have to consciously get in front of that thought. Again, it's going to keep happening, the thoughts. We're not resisting it. We're not suppressing. That's not what surrender means. That means I see it, and I could finally see it. And that's the opening we need. I see it. The bell is rung. I see it every time it happens. And the more we see it, the more we are aware of it, the more when opportunity presents itself, the more conscious we are to make different decisions. And slowly our 3D world starts to manifest differently. And slowly we get pulled out of this, and slowly we find balance. Okay? I feel like there's something here about you, feeling very tired, very, very tired. You've been invested in some situation that isn't producing happiness or abundance or something you're wanting. And so maybe you're doubling down and I could do it this way, or I should do that, or maybe I'm doing something wrong, or I need to. No, none of that stuff. There is nothing you can do, should do, would do, need to do. Surrender. Spirit's going to do it for you. The abundance is coming for you. Victory is coming for you without you doing anything at all, except for awareness, acceptance, non-resistance, okay, accepting truth, and being confident in your own ability to do this without waffling, okay, because we could doubt it, especially if we haven't experienced it. It's like, am I able to do this? Can I trust this? What if I don't have it in me? What if I need that? What if no, that's again, that we're doing the same thing again. We're letting the ego come up with thinking it knows better. It's like, no, remember, the plants just grow. It's an organic process. That's what surrender is. Spirit has your back here. You're just, every time that comes upon you, the worry or that anxiety, it's like ring the bell, get clarity. And now I'm being called to ring the bell. So you might want to mute your thing, because I'm going to ring the bell for you. Okay, let's ring the bell. And so we're clearing out the energy here. And every time we get, I don't know how clearly you can hear that bell, because sometimes the audio cuts out. Every time we get into the doer, what can I do? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. How can I think my way through this? That's a reminder to ring the bell. Okay, and because I was getting a lot of church from this energy, and I know church is usually religion, but it could be just connecting to a higher power, It's like every time we feel the anxiety, hey, Spirit, take the wheel, you know, connect to a higher power. Know that there's something greater than you that's actually going to lead you to success, which is the Chariot. Of myself, I could do nothing. Of my worrying, I could do nothing. Of the little I have no control. I can't do anything. I might think I can, but that's the ego. And all the ego has done up until now is create suffering for me, making me not want to be here. It hasn't resolved anything. It's just created more situations for me to resolve. More 10 wands, more anxiety, more burden. And Spirit saying, give up the burden. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's close this out. For pile number 3, anything I missed, any questions they might still have that hasn't been answered in regards to what they're being called to do in the surrender journey. Release and surrender all control and let nature take its course. Spirit has the wheel. Balance. So we saw the Chariot, and now we're seeing the Temperance in reverse. So this is I think the 5D and the 3D are needing to come into balance here, okay? Compromise, self-control, and moderation. So self-control. What does this look like? We might be getting confused. The control, we might think is something I'm able to do and resist and manipulate, rather than knowing that the self-control is allowing self to accept what is. That is self-control, okay? But we don't need to act on every emotion. I'm feeling an emotion right now, and that's a pointer towards something within me that I need to look at, a belief that might be untrue, okay? But the self-control is letting oneself sort of find a form of balance through a way of healing and acceptance. You're being divinely guided, Sagittarius energy. Okay, so that's all about harmony and the transmutation of energy. So what does pile number 3 need to know? I think your environment too might be very challenging right now, you know? It might seem very dysregulated, but it's like we need to harmonize ourselves from the inside before we find harmony on the outside. Okay, the world. Yes, so we're concluding ancestral wounds. We're concluding maybe huge karmic cycles. We're putting an end to certain things here, but we're needing to, like this says, cyclicality. We're needing to learn what we need to learn through the cycles in order to close this chapter of this whole book. Okay, accomplishment, celebration, and completion. And then we have the 4 of Earth. So what is this? Letting go, surrender. I'm not hanging on to, I'm not coming from scarcity mindset, but if I let go of this, then I lose out or I miss out, or I'm too clinging to the thing that feels okay, but it's not allowing spirits to do its thing, trusting my intuition. Trusting spirit. So we see 44 here. Could be an age. I think this came up for pile number 1 if you were drawn, I think. But 44 is a master number. Integrity as a foundation. Treating the earth as home and a temple. Manifestation and leadership. And so what's leadership? We might have the idea that it means controlling situations, being the doer, having outcome. Meanwhile, true empowerment, I'm exactly where I need to be, meaning I let things be as it is. I accept truth as it is. Here I'm truly empowered because I could see reality as it is. Okay, frugalness, extravagance, and control, yet again. Okay, so we're needing to give up control through acceptance and allowance and not through a mindset of scarcity. What will I lose out? What will, and that's natural to feel that way, but what are we doing? You could feel any sort of way, but what are we doing? Okay, so be very focused on the doing more so than how it is you're feeling, because we might think, I'm going against my feelings. It's like, yes, because your feelings are answering a belief that's actually untrue, that you have any control in this matter. You do not. Okay, Page of Fire, Page of Wands, creative, enthusiastic, motivated. The Page of Wands is free as F. Okay, it's kind of like fool energy. He goes, he explores, he's not concerned one iota about anything. He's not concerned about what he's going to encounter, what's going to happen in the future, what happened in the past. He's just exploring truly from an innocent heart space and enjoying what it is that what's being uncovered. This might be very hard for us to do, And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't feel good. And it's not enjoying this. It's like, no, because we're not letting ourselves get to the enjoyment part. We're having to push through this uncomfortable part first, so that we can become free and explore and be really liberated. You're really being liberated to the authentic self. Okay, this beautiful white feather and this beautiful white dress is all about authentic self-expression. Okay, so the moon, intuition, illusion, and revelation in reverse. So The fears hold me back, the lack of not knowing, the inability to trust my intuition, to see beyond the moonlight. And so I stay here trying to talk my way into the moonlight, dancing with the illusion, spending more time in suffering, rather than saying, hey, maybe this moonlight isn't great truth. Maybe what I'm thinking isn't the full truth. Is that a possibility? And if it is, then there might be a sunlight, that I'm not engaged with or seeing. Show me, Spirit. I'm surrendering to the sunlight. I don't want to be in the moonlight no more. I don't want to be in fear. I don't want to think I know it all, so I have to control it all. I like the idea of Spirit sort of doing what it needs to do here, but how do I get there? By being shown by the universe that every time I choose to let the universe do it, it proves to me, I prove to myself that that's going to work, and I free myself less and less of this burden. Okay, but we have to catch ourselves when we're going back there. Yeah, 5 of Swords. Okay, mistakes, melodrama, and reassessment. So we create our own suffering. Okay, by staying in ignorance, by staying in moonlight, by staying in fear, by trying to strategize, manipulate, and think I can control and do. No, you cannot. You could think that, but all you're doing is perpetuating your suffering. Your mind doesn't know truth. It just knows its past experience and it's projecting. It knows a little blip on the grand scheme of this huge universe. Let Spirit take the wheel. That takes a lot of humility and trust, okay? So 4 of Wands. Wow, this is my 1111 card. Okay, so 1111 is a very highly spiritual number. Some of you guys might resonate with being on a twin flame journey, but this is about union of self, balance, integration of a full solid self that is spirit and our mind, body, heart, coherence, all balanced and integrated. Okay, and in order for our outside world to start to manifest as balanced and harmonious, we must be finding balance within self. Okay, so the prosperity, contentment, and celebration. Okay, so we must be committed to this process more than we are to the suffering, more than we're committed to the ego and the mind. We must convert, and you got to make that choice. You have to be totally committed to saying, hey, I cannot experience what it is that I am. I've tried this, or I've been in here too many times, or too many experiences repeating itself. Seems like no way out. This way that I've been engaging isn't helping. There's nothing more I can do because I've tried it all, or I've thought of it all, or I've done it all, but I don't know how else to do it, And for those of you guys integrating the 5D into the 3D, it's challenging. It feels disorientating. Like I've been on this intuition, but it feels like a separate world. It's like you're finally integrating the 3D and the 5D into this world so you can find harmony and balance. This is the final leg or the final stretch of this healing, okay, that you've been called to do. You're putting an end to that so that you can be an integrated, fully crystallized being here that has self-mastery over emotions, that's bringing spirituality to your everyday life through a process of organic trust of the divine, knowing what's intuition, knowing what's fear, acknowledging pain body, seeing the separate self as the little voice in the head, that's the ego, and making sense of it all and not needing to, be a puppeteer or strategize in any way and say, spirits, take the wheel, even if it feels uncomfortable here. And so, like I said, this could be Hannah, this could be, skin peeled like Freddy Krueger, but either which way, it's like these two. It's like, it is what you think it is. If you think it's peely skin, then the universe is going to give you more suffering, more cannot do, cannot hold. If you see Hannah, it's the beauty. I see beauty. I see the beauty in you, Spirit, in this process. I see the beauty. Even if it felt weird or I didn't understand it, it's because my ego thought of something different and it had a different experience. But now I see the beauty and I could see something else that I wasn't seeing before. Okay, and it didn't hurt me. The Hannah didn't hurt. It wasn't like a tattoo, a permanent tattoo. It didn't hurt at all. Wow. That was anticipating great pain, that's what the ego does. It's life or death. I must hang on. I must control. I must at all costs. The ego thinks it's going to die. That's what it does. It's like, no, surrender. It's all beautiful in God's world. And God wants you to experience beauty here and peace and centeredness and union. Okay. And on the inside as well as on the outside. And that's how we close this painful process, cyclical ancestral thing out. Okay. Beautiful angel. I love you very much. I hope this helped you guys. I will see you guys at the next one. Bye-bye.